Hey everyone, it's Arsenal Fan Circle. This is season 2, episode 30. We are live and welcome. Come on in, pull up a chair. You're all welcome here. Thanks to Stan. Thanks to Rohan for joining us today.
Good
Stan, how
morning.
you doing?
Yeah, I'm not so bad, getting a little bit bored of the cabin fever, but I know that there's others out there that are probably suffering a lot more than I am, so I'm not going to complain.
Yeah, yeah. How you doing, Rohan? Good.
I'm all right. Yeah. Yesterday there was like very good weather here, so we at least could go out to for a drive. Today it's rainy and murky, so I think this is good enjoyment for me now to be hanging with you guys.
Yeah, it's definitely in my area. It's not a nice day, so come on in. Let's get started with this. We'll start out with the Arsenal players are back in training, Stan.
Yeah, you was telling me about this just before we came on. I haven't really heard much about this one, so I mean, how's that going to work? I mean, you said something about they're all going to be going in, but it's going to be individual training. So, as I was saying, what are you going to do? Like, get a football pitch and then draw out chalk boxes for each player to stand in so they can do star jumps. I mean, I don't know how it's going to work.
Yeah, like when we were going to do PE when we were kids, right? Physical education. Uh, Rohan, what do you think about this? We're going to be the first team coming back in training.
Mhm. We love to be first for everything, right? And sometimes that's detrimental to us. So let's hope that this is well thought out and
Yeah,
we're all, safe, the players are safe, and we can go in. What I've read is that they're supposed to go in individually and do their trainings individually and then go back straight home. So that is the order given by the principal's office. So,
yeah, yeah,
let's see if they're compliant. I think it's more about physical fitness because there's only that much that you can do at your home. So maybe they draw tracks and see how fast everybody is or what their fitness is, etc. I don't think that they can use gym equipment, etc., as we know that the virus can exist on surfaces, and
yeah.
so they'll have to take turns on that, or either it'll have to be sanitized really well and then they take turns on it. But I just think that that's a bit of a push. So let's see what they do.
Yeah, the understanding is that they come individually in their own cars. They leave their homes. They strictly come to the training pitch. Um, I call London Colney. I would understand it to be. Um, the facilities are probably going to be locked and inaccessible. No showering afterwards. So right after the training session, get back in the car, go home, shower, and have lunch and whatever. They're not going to be hanging around with the tea lady, Rohan, or eating at the facilities.
Yeah. Especially Mesut Ozil isn't getting his lunch or his coffee there, is he?
No, I wouldn't think so. No.
Because he's not contributing for them.
And no, he didn't drop a few pounds in the box for them. He didn't. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, so shout out to everyone in the chats. We got Gunda News, who is not feeling so well. I hope you feel better, I hear. And also happy Ramadan to all those people who are celebrating this month, this holy month for them. And Stephen Denham, thanks for joining us, and Glenn and Chahat, of course, who's been with us for a few weeks now. So shout out to everybody.
And yeah, and he's joined us at 2:20 a.m. So yeah,
Yeah.
he's
So
been with us at weird times as well.
big up yourself, Chahat. So thanks for that. Where's the Africa European representation? Gotta come and make it right. So there's some banter going on in chats, and it's a good thing. It'll be good also, Stan, for the players to actually at least see each other from a distance, 2 or 3 meter social distancing, but it'll be
I
good
just
for the
hope
players.
I just hope that however this is being organised, that it's done correctly, because as Rohan said, we're going to be the first ones to do this. So, I'm just hoping that at no point is there any moment where you've got a group of players or a group of people that are together Because if that happens, you know, someone's going to take that photograph, and that photograph will invariably end up on social media, and then there'll be an outcry and, you know, all of the rest that comes with it. So however they're going to do it, I just hope that they've really planned it out so that, you know, it stays within the rules and it doesn't give anyone who's looking in from the outside any opportunity to call fault, you know?
Yeah. And we did call out Rohan. We did call out Lacazette, Xhaka, Pepe, and who's the fourth person? That was
Luis.
David Luiz as well. But it could only take a moment for you to be within those 2 meters, and there they are. The paparazzi are there taking that photograph.
Yeah.
You have to keep Lacazette and Aubameyang on opposite corners, and they don't have to go in for the handshake.
So they'll
right?
be doing the squats and all of that
Instinctive.
in opposite directions. But yeah, we want to be the first. We seem to want to be the first to do these things, whether that is good or bad, Rohan. You know, as you mentioned already.
No, if they do it well, then it's good, you know, because the players also need some sort of interaction, and you know, we just get some time before other teams get on track, so that should be a good thing. But like Stan said, and you said, you know, it has to be done to perfection. You know, there are government orders in place that there's a lockdown and people are supposed to be at home. So, you know, I'm sure that Arsenal has looked at the legality of it and the PR aspect of it, and then they've taken the call of whether or not these people should come into work. And if they have taken the call, then it's on the club now to make sure that everybody is safe, like Chad mentioned there. You know, these are prime athletes, and you don't want to, just for the idea of being first, you don't want to put their health at risk.
Yeah. I mean, they're human beings, they're athletes, and they're assets to the club, Stan. So all of those things need to be taken into consideration.
Yeah, I mean, it's commendable that you want to be a trailblazer or a pioneer, but you just got to be you got to be careful that you know exactly what it is that you're entering into, because there's such a big, you know, if anything does go wrong, the implications are so huge, right?
Yeah. Tony, thanks for joining us, Tony. We're just getting into the Arsenal players back in training. Just want to give a shout out to Stephen Denham as well, and thanks for joining us, Stephen. He says, "What a shit time to be celebrating my 42nd birthday." Well, first of all, happy birthday! It's a unique birthday. You know, mine was back in January, way before all this kind of stuff went down. So I have not experienced a birthday during lockdown, but you know, hopefully you're getting through it, Stephen, and everyone else.
Well, looking at Stephen's little avatar picture there, I think he's getting through it quite well.
That was there long before the lockdown, so yeah, it's possible. Tony, the Arsenal players are back in training.
Yeah, it's to be spaced out, but I use all 10 training pitches. And sounds like
Now,
be real.
let's open this up a little bit more and talk about this. Does this point to possibly the club knowing something, maybe that the games are going to come back and they have maybe a date in mind, the Premier League? And I'll put that to the other two panel members as well.
Yeah, I didn't read the article, but there's an article out saying early June that the games are to resume in probably 4 or 5 different stadiums.
4 or 5 different stadiums, Tony. So they're gonna center games around a few different stadiums.
Yeah, they'll probably have games every other day or every day.
Is it your understanding it would just be Premier League games, or we can't really go into Europe at this point, right?
Just Premier League.
Yeah. Rowan, what do you think about those revelations? Some of those are new to me.
It's great from a fan's perspective, right? We've been longing, we've been waiting, we need some football action going on, but I'm just not sure how this all, you know, pans out, right? Because unless you're absolutely 100% over this, it's obviously going to be played behind closed doors, but still, just to run a football game with all of the people who run that and the broadcasting, which is going to be essential, you're going to need about 300 people in the stadium. And
Yeah.
those 300 people are coming from various places. You don't know, what the symptoms are, whether somebody is a carrier. The issue is that you don't even get to know for an incubation period, which might be 10 days or 2 weeks. So, to me, it really feels like we might be, putting money before players' health, because
Mhm.
you've seen the Dutch league, which has cancelled the division and no football to be played until 1st of September. But this seems pretty much like what the Premier League would do, is putting money first and trying to get games on so that they don't have to suffer those television rights losses. But let's hope that these athletes don't have to pay for that.
Yeah. Stan, your thoughts?
I think that we should be following the example of the Eredivisie League in the Netherlands, and we should just be avoiding it. We come back with a pre-season, and then we go again. And Liverpool doesn't get crowned champions. That's how I'd like to see it play out. To be
Well, that's
fair.
why I queued up Mahir's comments as well, because he got quite a kick out of your reaction to the coefficient rating in the last podcast, where we explained the European qualification to the Champions League
Yes, I do.
through the rolling 5-year coefficient.
Stan was
Yeah.
all for it.
I got a great kick out of hearing those revelations, but I don't know if you picked up on something on social media in the last couple of days, where I was reading Olympiacos maybe getting kicked out of the Europa League and heavily fined for I don't know what it was. Was it some form of corruption or something like that? And I was thinking, well, why don't I take it a step further and reinstate the team that they knocked out of the competition?
Come on, Stan. We're looking at the Champions League now. We don't need Europa League.
Yeah, our target now is the
No,
Champions League.
I'm just trying to save the players trying to get them a 7.5, added onto their salaries back into the Europa League, right?
What commission are you asking for out of that 7.5? 2 or 3% would be just fine, right? So
But I mean, just on what Rohan was saying, I mean, have they been told something that we don't know? I mean, you'd think that if this is what the club has decided to do, that they couldn't have made that decision with at least first consulting probably the PFA and also the FA, just to let them know that, look, this is what we plan to do if you've got a problem with that. So it would have been sanctioned, I imagine, at this level. So
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. So listen, it's great to see so many people in the chats, and I've been reaching out to a few people, hoping that they're okay in this difficult time. And London Old School, great to see you here as well. Evening, guys. Can't see football resuming this season personally, and I think we're gonna maybe talk a little bit. We've talked about that. We went through the coefficient rating and the different permutations. We're trying to stay a little bit ahead here on Arsenal Fan Circle of what actually is going to happen. The Assembled, thanks for joining us. Evening, everyone. Do you mean they've been training to play that bad? Yeah, but hopefully we're improving a little bit, less bad, right, Rowan?
Yeah, in the form table we are third, as we learned last week.
Yeah,
Right?
Tony keeps pushing the form table after 14 games under Arteta. Steven says it's going to be a massive ask to get games played again, even behind closed doors. Are they going to keep every team's TV staff and the ambulance staff all together away from people? And I think that's probably what they would try to do, house people in hotels, right, Tony?
Yeah, it'd be like mini Olympic camps, basically, where everybody's all grouped together.
Yeah.
But that's
sorry.
Carl says
that's such a big risk.
With all these sniffles, they expected to play anytime soon. Go ahead, Rowan.
Right, just thinking about it, that's such a big risk because So I was speaking to my friend Chahat, and he lives in Singapore, and there initially there weren't those many numbers of number of people who were detected with coronavirus, but there are so many people who go there for for jobs such as building things, etc., who are contract workers, and they get brought in by companies and they stay, let's say, in dormitories, etc. So there's like a lot of people staying in that sort of situation, and one person gets it there has led to a massive issue all across Singapore now, because like those people are obviously in such close quarters with other people, and they're like sort of infecting one after the other. And right now, when you said that they'll be housed in the in a hotel, it just brought back the same thing, that let's say one person has it, and then that person can infect like so many people, because at the end of it, it's going to be a contact sport. There are going to be team meetings, there are going to be conferences, etc, and that person can infect so many other people, and then it's going to be a PR disaster for the Premier League. And I just hope that they're taking that into account. Maybe they are, and more than that, they're taking into account these players' health.
Yeah, totally. Steve, and another thing, Rohan, is they're probably going to need to, whether this is morally right or not, they're probably going to need to get tested as well, and do those tests. Is that testing, is that more needed for people who are suffering, rather than athletes? It's a bigger question as well, and a tougher question. But Steven said they're going to need an island by the time to get every team, plus TV medics, club staffs, chefs, etc. So it is going to be a huge undertaking if this is the way that they're going to go. Mahir said there's a bigger risk starting this season than voiding it and starting the next season afresh. And that may be a way that they're going to go, Stan. Nobody's decided anything yet. We're just basically reporting that the Arsenal players are back in training.
I just think that when when you've had all of the medical information and it's nearing the time where you're ready to go again, you just, for the first 3 weeks before you start, you just organise pre-seasons. I mean, you don't have to have friendlies with teams from other countries, right? I mean, how many leagues are there in the UK? Every team should be able to organise some form of friendly games just to get the fitness levels back up. What would you be talking about? 3, maybe possibly 4 games, including training in a 3-week sort of period, and then just start the season again. To start it, everybody starts off where they started off this season, and you go again. And I know it's going to be unfair to Liverpool, but I really don't think that you can just on the base on where we are now just hand out the trophy if this season isn't going to be restarted. If it's voided, then we just start again, and it is unfortunate. If it was Arsenal in that position, it'd be unfortunate, but what are you going to do? What's the alternative? That you do get the trophy, and anytime you're talking to anyone about football in the future, it's like, oh, we can't talk about that season when you won it because you were just handed the trophy. Yeah. It's never going to be fully accepted by all. It's an anomaly of a season, so we just have to reset, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hugely difficult and moral question, difficult economic question. We're just basically reporting that the Arsenal players are coming back in training. That does not mean in any way, shape, or form that the season may come back, unless the club knows something that we don't. So we're just sort of talking over the pros and cons here, Stan.
Could there be any form of legal ramifications whereby if you're a cameraman working for a TV organisation and you've been sent as part of the team to do the coverage of these matches behind closed doors, and then you contract the virus, would you and a legal team then be able to perhaps go and sue your company and have an argument to say, well, you put me in this situation?
Yeah,
I just use that as an example. If there are some players that felt uncomfortable, forced by that we're hearing that some players felt uncomfortable that they were forced by the club to take the pay cut. Maybe some of them are feeling a little bit uncomfortable and feeling that they're going back into training and mixing maybe a little bit too prematurely. And then if you put into that situation and you do contract the virus, there could be grounds for some form of legal ramifications. Not to say that the relationship between you and the club would not be in a good place, right? You'd feel some form of resentment. It's just there's so many layers to it. I just hope that, as I say, Arsenal wanting to be pioneers and trailblazers isn't the main priority here, and that it's well thought through.
Yeah. Sometimes it's not always the best tact to go forward in these things, Rohan. And as Mahir has just said, not even concerned about Champions League or Europa League, but it's all about the survival of football and actually survival of economies at this point, Rohan. You know?
Yeah, definitely. This is big ramification. We've already seen clubs like Burnley saying that if football doesn't start by August, they're going to go bust. So, there's also talks about cash injection into clubs, whether it is in a form of loans or it's just going to be a cash injection. There's so many layers to it. And I do understand that for these clubs, it is important to get football underway. But like I've said again and again, the health aspect of it has to come first. These people, to answer Stan's, point, I think what they will have to do is sign, some sort of consent letters before they go in, agreeing to the fact that they have, it's like something like you sign when you go skydiving, right? You have to sign and you have to say that, if I die, I die, So that's the sort of thing. But we will definitely hear players coming out and saying that we weren't ready and we've been forced into it, especially the younger ones, I would assume.
Yeah. But Carl,
that the worst thing that could happen for me, I would rather football came back a month later than what we would like, rather than it coming back prematurely. It starts to start up again, and then right in the middle of, say, like a little mini pre-season or these training, players are tested with the virus again, and then everything is put back. Everything is put back rather than waiting a month. It's now put back 2 months, 3 months, maybe.
Yeah, and as Carl said, she thinks that Arsenal said reporting for training is voluntary. Their wives will say no, and maybe it is too soon. We are just merely reporting, as I said before, that they're coming back to training. It doesn't mean that the season is coming back. At this point, we do not know anything officially. And Stephen says he sees their families wanting them to if it's voluntary. He doesn't see the families agreeing if it's voluntary. And Bao, thanks for joining us, Bao. It's not a group training, more of giving access to the training pitches with limited numbers. No buildings open, so more of a space for them to do individual training in a private area. And that's exactly what we were saying. They will be separated. They will be coming in separately to do their own work, right, Tony?
Yeah, they're supposed to be limited use of the buildings, and they're going to use all 10 training pitches.
I love that comment.
He meant disinfectant as directed by Trump. Okay. Cronky. Stan is the gift that keeps on giving. That's Stan Cronky. Right? Yeah. So I thought this would be a pretty quick segment, but as we said, Stan, there's many, many layers to this. Once you start digging into it, players coming back from training has ramifications, opens up one question after another, right?
Yeah, it does.
Rohan, any final points before we get to the next section?
I think we've covered this. Let's just hope that health comes first, and we get to see football sometime soon. As a football fan, I want them to play like every other day. They're like modern day gladiators, and we are all sitting around them, and we want blood, but this time it's actually blood. So we don't want that. We don't want anyone to fall
Maybe
sick.
the Suns will have to draw up a clause as well. I mean, that's a whole tricky situation that you could say. How could you say that somebody is liable if you catch the virus, Rohan? How could you say that? Could you say that? Do you have a legal standing there?
I mean, they could say that they were negligent, and once you sort of start going back and you start seeing where the cause and effect, how was established, and then they see that it was because they started it, and then it was contracted through this. There's like so many families at stake, etc. If not legal ramification, because they're going to sign consent forms saying that I will not hold you liable, but there's going to be a PR disaster.
And the comment so far of this podcast is Stephen here. Teams like Stoke, Burnley can train okay with social distancing. All they do is hit long balls anyway.
Thing is, right, if someone's going to come to you with a disclaimer, all right, a consent form to come to training, you're basically saying, hold on a minute, you're basically saying, like, there's a chance I could catch this by coming into the training. Otherwise, I wouldn't be signing it. I'd be one of those that just would not be signing it, you know?
Yeah. I mean, you want to see that things are getting better before you feel better about it. But I think the way they're framing this training is quite safe. I would say you come to the facility, you train, and it's maybe it's rotating. It's not everyone in 2 hours.
And it's supposed to be rotating. They're supposed to come in groups.
Rotated in groups. Okay, good. That's good.
I'm sure when it happens, they're going to put pictures out, right? They're going to want us to see, right?
Yeah.
Arsenal very much like that.
Yeah. Listen, like we said, we are just reporting that they're coming back with training. We're not saying the season is starting again. As we've already said, the Eredivisie has cancelled their league until when? September, Tony?
Yeah,
September.
Okay.
Visions of Arsenal releasing pictures next week, and like each player is in like a big perspex hamster ball running around, like rolling around, so they're not touching each other.
Like Bubble Boy.
Moving cube. The next section, this might be painful a little bit,
Rohan might start crying on us.
But it's something we have to start considering. Aubameyang staying or going, and I'm starting to feel like he hasn't signed the contract. Things are getting close to the end, and I feel like he's already maybe going. And I don't know if everyone saw the latest photograph or his post. He's in the gym and he's training, and he says something like, "What does he say, Tony? Don't worry, everything. Keep working hard. Don't worry." And I think that's actually related to his fitness. I don't think that's related to the contract situation. But what's your feeling on this, Tony? And we have a number of clubs we can talk about as well.
I think he's definitely going. I think if he was a sign, he had already signed. And with funds being more limited, I don't see us giving him the $300,000 a week that he wants.
Rowan, what do you feel?
So that's one post, but there was another post which his father reposted, which said, "You know what to do," and he was sitting there signing the Arsenal contract. So you could read into that as well. For me, nothing has changed since the last time we've had a conversation. We don't know whether he's going to sign or not. Like I've said, what we can do is make that decision difficult for him by giving him the best contract that we could give him, uh, giving him all the opportunity that we can give him. And then there's multiple factors to it. I don't even think that there's that decision to make right now. If he had to sign, he would sign right now. But we don't know what the situation is going to be. He will also want to see who are his suitors, right? Will other clubs have that sort of cash to spend on a 30, 31-year-old? Will they meet his wage demands? Will they, want to spend those sort of wages? There are so many questions in place. And when I have read probably things that indicate to say that Arsenal, it's still not a lost cause for Arsenal. That's what I feel. But at the end of it, it's his decision. It's the club's decision. If he does decide that he does not want to sign, then we will have to sell him. But I would rather sell him to a foreign club for 20 million less than to sell him to Manchester United or to Chelsea. You know, like it's
There's
being mooted.
there's no chance for me that he's going to Chelsea, and people have said he's going to Chelsea. I don't believe that for 1 minute. But Stephen, thanks for coming in once again, Stephen. Have the club offered him a contract? Because we know how bad the club is. Saka hasn't had his sorted yet, and they can't blame the virus. They should have sorted it out long before this pandemic. Now, to answer a few questions that Rohan put out, and then I'll come to you, Stan, in a second. I believe that Aubameyang knows his suitors at this point. He should, through his agent, know who's looking for him. The issue is how economically this virus is going to impact the world and clubs in Europe and clubs in the Premier League. So I think that the clubs in question are Manchester United, Chelsea, and the teams in Madrid, probably Barcelona or Real, and Inter Milan as well, right, Rowan?
Right, but Inter Milan, I have read that they can't meet the wage demands. If Inter Milan can pay it, then we should also be able to pay it. With Barcelona, I have read that they want to sign Neymar back, and they want to, that's going to be a mega deal. I've read that they want to sign Ndombele, and for that they're, you know, uh, giving two players, Samedo and another player, Umtiti, I think, somebody else. So there's, it doesn't seem like Barcelona wants to spend the cash like just like that, and Neymar would command a huge fee. How many attackers do they want anyway? And also considering the fact that next season they aren't even going to be getting the naming rights money from the new camp, then that means that they'll be a little bit cash strapped. And who knows? Real Madrid for me is the main question. Whether Real Madrid go for him, and he wants to go to Real Madrid because already said that he's actually said that as a child he wanted to play for Real Madrid, and so that's going to be the real question.
Promises.
But apart from that, Manchester United, we should just say no. Uh,
Yeah.
Chelsea, I don't think that's any truth. In fact, Chelsea since the story broke out, have extended Giroud's contract by another 12 months. So, that might be an indication that they probably aren't looking.
Okay, Stan.
Well, I just think with Arsenal, and we've seen them do it so many times, we just always seem to paint ourselves into a corner when it comes to controlling our players' destiny.
Yeah.
And I think that's what a football club should always be trying to do, that you should have yourself in the position where you are controlling your players' destiny. So when you have a player on a contract, when that player gets down to their last 18 months on their contract, the club should already know if they want to keep that player or whether they want to sell that player. And if they want to keep that player, they should be going to that player at that point when you get to, say, that 18-month mark to start contract negotiations. Because as soon as it gets down to the last 12 months, you've got no control really over where that player goes, and you're going to lose out on getting the money in. And I just don't understand why Arsenal haven't seemed to grasp that when it comes to big players at our club. If it get to that 18-month stage and he doesn't want to sign a contract, then you make it known to everybody that player is now available to be bought. And then you can control where he ends up going and have a good say in where that player ends up going. Because I would, like Rohan, I'd like to keep Aubameyang. That's where we get all of our goals from, and that's what football's about. It's about getting the ball in the back of the net. He's the best one that we've got to do it. He was joint golden boot just the other season. A lot of people say that he's being played out of position. And even if he is being played out of position, he's still providing goals. So I don't understand why you would sell him for like 60, 70 million, because then the person that you bring in, you've got to spend that money and you've got to know that the person that you're bringing in is going to be able to replicate that. But if he doesn't want to stay, then we have to be able to be big enough to bite the bullet, to make the decision and get money in for him. So at least we can afford to try and get a replacement. Because if he goes for nothing, where are we going to get the money from a decent replacement? We're we keep being told that we're a self-sustaining model. That means that we have to make money from selling players as well.
Yeah, I think we're in a situation, Stan, where the club has not got control over the situation anymore, and the power is in the players' camp right now through his agent. And we have 6 weeks to sort this out.
And it wasn't so long ago that the club, from behind the scenes, they actually admitted that they've got it wrong in the past when it comes to players' contracts, and they said that they were addressing this so that they would, you know, be more in the driving seat. And look what's happening. It's just all, you know, they open their mouths sometimes and the words just fall out. There's no meaning behind any of it, because the same things are still happening.
And the same things are still happening, Stan. We talked about this on Thursday night about how we as fans are looking for pointers or direction from the club to say to ourselves and hold our hand on our heart and say, this club is being run correctly. And as Stephen says here, the people dealing with our contracts are pure mugs. This is yet another sign. We talked about this on Thursday. It seems like we talk about it on a regular basis, but we keep losing players to freeze, or we're getting players players are leaving less money than we should have gotten for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's happened to us so many times, and I just said as well, the club's already told us that they realise that they're getting it wrong, and you just don't see any improvement. I mean, you know, we're supposed to be a club at the very top level, and this is a very important part of, if you want to be a self-sustaining model, you've got to manage your resources effectively. We just haven't been doing it, and you can even, you know, expand on that and look at the stats DNA and what happened with all of that. The money that was invested there, and, you know, they're not even part of the club now. And you can even look at some of the players that brought in. It's just been a little bit shambolic, and we seem to have been making a lot of knee-jerk reactions. When, you know, the worst thing that we done was get rid of someone like Sven Mislintat. You know, we were told that we were going to have a model where we were going to unearth these gems and, you know, be really prudent. And it was Raul Senieri himself who used the term, we're going to outsmart the market. Well, that's all balderdash, right? Because they got rid of Sven, and now we're just using Sven's Rolodex and contact book, and we basically ring up these agents and we say, who's available? We don't go out there and say, right, we're looking for a backup right back, or we're looking for this position. We want this kind of a player. Let's see who's out there. We ring up agents and we ask them who they can sell to us, and then we see whether we can fit them in. That's not the way that we should be doing it. And they told us that we wouldn't be doing it that way, but they're doing it right in front of us.
Yeah. Tony, the proof of the pie is in the eating, and if the club is not walking the walk, they can talk the talk, but they're not walking the walk. So here we are again. We're in a situation where we could lose a very, very good asset for less money than we expected to be getting if this was going to happen.
Yeah, we just keep making the same mistakes over and over, and doesn't seem like who's in charge that we keep making the same mistakes.
And Roland, I said 6 weeks, but we actually have 10 weeks till the end of June. But it's still not a lot of time to sort out a deal if that's what's going to happen. He's going.
No, I think this date is artificial now because a lot of things will have to come into perspective, right? This date of 30th of June is itself not solid now, because if you take that into account, then there are questions like, does Ceballos have to go back on 30th of June? Because essentially his contract, his loan term ends at that point. Does Saliba join us, you know, because he's supposed to join us at the end of the season? So I don't think that is how it's going to play out. If the decision is indeed to elongate the season and the season goes on till July, etc., then the season will go on till whatever time. The transfer window will be affected accordingly. So I don't think that we should set that date or that expectation of that date that we've got 10 weeks and we need to sort it out. Then we can wait until there is a closure of the season. The window will open and then the window closes, and we have time till then. So I would think that we still have more time than their 10 weeks. But what I don't get is that why do we sign players on contracts for such short terms, right? We've essentially signed Aubameyang on a 3.5 year deal. Why would you do that? Alexis Sanchez, we signed him on a 4 year deal. Like, we put ourselves in that spot when we give players these deals which are so short, because like Wenger had said, when you give a player a 4 year deal, it's not actually a 4 year deal, it's a 3 year deal,
Yeah.
because the last year is anyway a free run for them, so you have to sort it out by the third year. So your asset that you have procured is not for the full term. It's only for that term. So if it has to be that much time, you should ideally sign a 5 year deal or more, that you can at least get all the advantage of selling, of buying for such big amount.
It's really crazy to think that I would have thought a 3.5 or 4 year deal is a long term deal. But you're right. You're losing that last year. But maybe the player in question had something to say about it way back in 2017 or whenever it was that he did join us.
I have to agree with Rohan as well. I mean, the only time really you should be considering offering a 3 year deal as if the player is a little bit older and you're worried about getting yourself locked in with a player that may go past their best and then you're stuck with them, right? But like you say, Ray, as well, the player does hold cards, because if you've got a 3 year deal and you're going to then go and start trying to renegotiate, when I've got 18 months left, you're not getting a 3 years out of that player, really. You're always like a year. You're sort of like a year behind, right? And I suppose the player wants a 3 year deal because they know that they can then renegotiate and get more out of you. So it's tricky.
I wasn't aware of this. Carl is mentioning that Edu has gone to Valencia. I wasn't aware of that situation. Has Edu gone to Valencia to be director of football?
That's when he was playing for us.
Yeah, when he was playing for us.
Okay, good. I can take a sigh of relief there. Sigh of relief. So let's do a quick whip around here and see who thinks he's staying and who thinks he's going. I unfortunately think that he's going to go, but he will go to a club on the continent. What do we take a little bit of a financial hit for that? It's probably better than him going to a Premier League club. Wouldn't want to see that. Tony?
I think he's definitely leaving.
You think he's leaving? Rohan?
My mind says that he's leaving. My heart says that we can still convince him to stay. And like I said, it doesn't matter whether he goes or he stays. What matters is, at the end of it, the news report should be that Arsenal have tried everything to keep him, and that will be good enough for me. But he has to go in the continent, not go to Chelsea or United. That will piss me off big time.
Yeah. So we haven't made you cry yet, but you feel like he's gonna. Your heart says he's going, but you really, really want him to stay, right?
Yeah, my head says he's going. My heart says that he loves the club and he will sign for the club. There's reports. I just googled Aubameyang and Arsenal, these two words, and it said that the first one was that Aubameyang's father urges him to sign a contract with Arsenal, and then the next one says that this is definitely off and he's not signing with Arsenal. So it's an echo chamber, and whatever you want to read, you will read that.
Yeah, and to Stan, what do you think?
I think he's going to be leaving, unfortunately. I just hope that wherever he goes, it's not in this league, because if he does go to anyone else in this league, he's just going to make them stronger. And everybody else in this league is our competition. It's just if we make our competition stronger, I'd be very disappointed in that.
Yeah, completely agree with that. This story is probably not over at this point in time. There's going to be a lot of moving parts, more so now because of the economic situation with the virus. So we'll keep an eye on what's happening. Um, Arsenal seem to be hiding money in front of your eyes. These are competent businessmen making some of the most elementary errors of judgment. It's all done by design, not by incompetence. And that's something we were talking about on Thursday with the wage deferral reductions.
Yeah, what you mean? What is it actually for?
Like, is there a concerted effort to reduce the wage bill?
Yeah, I truly believe that's, for a while now, that the higher ups at Arsenal for a while have been looking at our performance on the pitch, where we end up at the end of the seasons, where we get knocked out of cup competitions, and they're looking at what we're paying our players, and they don't see that the two tally, that it doesn't match, and they would be right, because Josh Kroenke has said it a few times when he does speak. That we are kind of Champions League wages to a team that's not Champions League. He said it a few times, and I think that this pay decrease, this pay cut, it's just coming with the timing of the COVID virus, where everybody is actually looking inward and looking at pay cuts and people not, non-playing staff not getting paid. But if you look at it, if this is about non-playing staff and about players taking pay cuts to ensure that the rest of the staff don't go without, then why are the pay cuts tied to the performance on the pitch? If you qualify for this competition, you'll get this much. If you qualify for that, you'll get this. There's also a bonus in here. So I do think there's a bigger picture. Unless I've missed an article, I've never actually seen it said what the pay cut is for. Is it going to prop up the NHS? Is it going to help pay for the staff that don't play football at Arsenal? Or is it because the higher-ups just want to retweak the salary that we're spending on players because they believe it's too high? I've not actually seen a definitive answer unless I've missed something.
And Stan, I got to believe that you're right as well. And what Rohan's been saying that as well, and Tony, that there is a concerted effort to do that, because the boardroom have actually taken over a 30% pay cut as well. So this is a concerted effort to do that. I believe that. I think a lot of the people in the comments believe that as well. What do you think, Rohan, before we finish this section?
Like the section started with me not going and not wanting to cry, but my level of anger keeps going up whenever we sort of talk about it, and I can physically feel my anger going up, which is we are on a Champions League budget for a for a Europa League side, but the ticket costs that we have are the most expensive in the league. So we charge them like European Super League charges, and then we want to play shit football. I don't understand these guys are penny wise pound foolish. They will want to save 20, 30, 40, 50 grand a week, but they will and not sign this player who is the only world class player that we have and scores goals and maybe get us back to where the fans want us to be. They will not do that because of economics, but they don't understand the simple economics that we are dropping in share value, we are dropping in popularity each year. As the year passes, we are dropping in value there, and they will not understand that. They will shoot themselves just to save a few bucks in the short term, but in the long term they don't care about the fans, they don't care about themselves also, because they're bloody stupid.
And you're right, and like the Istanbul said, they're coming in to practice to be as bad as they've been. Now, albeit the timing's not great because Arteta just took over in the new year. He's 14 games into his season, and he's done. We have to say, Arteta's done quite well with the team, with the squad that he has. As Tony will point out, third in the form table, behind Liverpool and maybe City, let's say, or Liverpool and Leicester. It's definitely Liverpool, one of them. But Tony, what do you think?
Going back to what Stan said, I think it's B and C both trying to get the budget down and trying to help pay the staff. And there's no telling when we'll be back to full capacity at the stadiums. It might be 18 months
Yeah,
before.
and we there's so many variables and uncertainty right now. It's very difficult to make a plan, and everybody's budgets have changed because of this coronavirus, and we're walking into very much uncertainty. But on the news, I think you um, inadvertently you hid Stephen, but I'm so glad you got him back in. Um, Gundit is the moderator, so I don't know what he did to Stephen, but it wasn't done in it was done innocently. So, Stephen, thanks for your back. Good to see you back. If Aubameyang leaves, I don't see him shithousing us and going to your Premier League club. Yeah, and nobody wants to see our best player go to Man United or Chelsea, right? Goes without saying.
Can I just say as well, just to what Rohan was saying just a moment ago, what some of the guys in the chat box are saying about the board, the way that they're making their financial decisions, their penny pinching, and so forth. And I'm just gonna leave this here, right? You're gonna watch. This is how it's gonna unfold, right? You wanted Upamecano. What you've got is Pablo Mari. You wait and see. That's how it's gonna go. He's not coming. Upamecano is not coming. We're not getting another defender in other than William Saliba. Pablo Mari is the other defender.
Ray will have a party if that's true.
Yeah, he's had 2 games and he's played very, very well against Portsmouth and West Ham.
I'm not saying that's a good or a bad thing, but what I'm saying is that's what we're going to get. So just forget about Upamecano. It's just not going to happen.
But if we can get a decent player in midfield, we may all be able to live with that, such as Thomas Partey, maybe, you know. So Stephen says so, he says, referring to Gundit, you know. We're going to lose our minds if we lose Auba to a Premier League club. Okay, Rohan, we're going to get off that subject. I don't know if the Premier League structures the fixture list so that we have a North London derby. It seems like it's every April. But this weekend is the 16th anniversary of us taking the league at at White Hart Lane for the second time in our history. So we've won the Premier League in some nice places. Old Trafford, we won it twice at White Hart Lane in '71 and in 2004. So I just wanted to harken back to those days, and we'll talk about it a little bit. That's when we had a really very good team. I was watching some of the highlights earlier. We raced into a 2-0 lead that day, and we had many opportunities to make it 3-1. But then Robbie Keane comes back and scores that late penalty, and Tottenham were actually celebrating. They actually denied us from winning on their ground. But you know what? We took the league title. We won the league at White Hart Lane. So just wanted to reminisce a little bit, put a marker down. Rohan, you got any thoughts on that day, 2004?
Yeah, so the first season when I started supporting, and essentially, the last season that we won the league. But what a wonderful thing it was. And somehow, the Premier League writes these scripts, right? Like, you win your title in your greatest season ever at your rivals, your hated rival stadium. You win it at Old Trafford when when you two are the biggest contenders. It's happened to us as well, that we sell Van Persie and then we have to give him a guard of honor. So this thing sort of writes itself, but this is happy memory of what we did. And it was just levels, right? That we went into a 2-0 lead, and then Robbie Keane scored that day, and he celebrated like he'd won the World Cup. This is what Thierry Henry said, right? Like, you're celebrating, we've won the league. Do you understand that we just needed a draw and we've won the league at your ground and you're celebrating like you've won the World Cup? That's levels, iconic match. You've got pictures there of players celebrating. You've got that famous picture of Arsene Knowles with his hands up, and beautiful memories. And we've been on top, and it was just great.
Right. So Tony, after 2 minutes, we race into the lead. After 2 minutes, breakaway goal. When will we ever see a player like Thierry Henry again on Arsenal?
No telling.
And as I've mentioned before on this podcast, we might have actually seen the best Arsenal team in our lifetime, which was pretty good. Henry takes the ball and goes out to the left wing, slides the ball, I think, to Dennis Bergkamp. He squares it into Vieira, and Vieira side foots home. Stan, your memories from that day?
Yeah, it was a great day, but I always felt that I would have liked to have gone the other way round, and it would have been nice if we had done a comeback from being 2-0 down. Let Tottenham have scored the first 2 goals and be there thinking that they've ruined our day, but then we come out and we come back and we nick a draw. But hey, it wasn't perfect and we didn't get the win. But it's always nice to be able to run around and rub it in the opposition's face at their ground. Your biggest rivals to win the biggest prize at their ground. And they've got to sort of either sit there and watch it or try to get out of their own stadium as quickly as they can, not to see the celebration. So and we've done it so many times. We've done it at their place twice now. We've done it at Man United, when at the time you could say that Man United was probably our biggest rivals back then. So I just hope that we get to do it again at their new stadium. That big, lovely stadium they've got. It'd be great to sort of lift the Premier League title in that one.
And Stan, we seem to, when we win the league, we seem to do it in style. We won at Anfield. We went almost unbeaten in '91. In great style. 98, we came sailing past Manchester United with 10 wins in a row in '98, and then 2002 and 2004. But I had a comment here from Mahir. The security actually told Henry not to celebrate so much. He said, "Bugger that," and hence the scene. Because I think the Tottenham players were bigging themselves up a little bit too much. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, North London derbies are great atmospheres. The last Arsenal game I went to, and it's probably now, because I've moved over here to Canada, it's probably going to be the last game that I'm probably going to get to in a long time. Lockdown or no lockdown, was the 4-2. And that was on my 50th birthday, the 4-2 under Unai Emery, and it was my partner. It was her first ever football match. She'd never been to a football match before. She's Canadian, right? So it was a great day out. And, we were sat where we were sat in the North Bank Upper. We had tickets that were obviously regular people, but for whatever reason didn't go and chose to sell their tickets to us for quite a lot of money, I will say. Okay, so they probably had a good weekend at home with the money, but you could tell because the people to our right and the people to our left, we're in between them, were sort of talking around us to each other as before the match started. They obviously all know each other and were surprised to see us two sat between them. But by the end of the match, they were hugging us, they were kissing my girlfriend on the cheek. It was in November, right? So they were wishing us a happy Christmas. Christmas was coming up. And, we left there. And you think that we'd known each other for ages, the people that we were sat around, because it was such a great day out.
Yeah, and London will forever be red, and they will be forever in our shadow. London Old School, love the way Vieira waved the Spurs fans away like they were nothing when he celebrated his goal. Now, I actually, I think Stephen has comment here. I was thinking about this morning. We've got 3 statues outside the Emirates. We got, and you can get involved in the comments as well. We got Thierry Henry, we got Dennis Bergkamp and Tony Adams, and of course we have Herbert Chapman. But we got 3 players. Who should the next statue be of a player? Wanted to put that out to the panel. Pick a player. Who should next be a statue outside the Emirates? While I get through some comments here. Carl just sent me a flashback to the good old days when we were quality. And Stephen, I'm getting tired of talking about 16 years ago. And Rohan's the youngest here. He wants to have something more recent as well, right?
Yeah, it's enough of reminiscing in the past, and we've had opportunities. If we had just won that Leicester season, it wouldn't have felt so bad, right? Like something in the recent past, to actually think about. But like I'm actually thinking about my childhood right now, and that's just unacceptable for a club our size,
Yeah.
for the ticket prices that we pay, for the worldwide fans. And if this is the way it will go, we're not going to have too many fans in the current generation, in the coming generation, who are going to be Arsenal fans.
And while it's great to say we've been in our fallow years and we still can win cups, FA Cups, it's still unacceptable that we're going 16 years at this point before we even challenge. We've had a couple of meager challenges in the league. Maybe Auba is backup. That's in the invincible team. Which player from this current team would make the invincibles? Not too many.
No, not many at all. Aubameyang might get in there, I think.
Of course, Tony would like me to say Pablo Mari, but that's not going to happen.
Yeah. The statue question, I mean, we can't just hand out statues just like that. In my opinion, I've been trying to think about that, and there's absolutely no one that comes into mind.
I would put 3 forward: David Rocastle, Ian Wright, or Vieira, Patrick Vieira.
I've got a couple of shouts. I've got three that I kind of thought of: Cliff Bastin, Ian Wright, or Liam Brady.
Yep, exactly. So yeah, it was good to, as some of the people in the comments said, good to reminisce about times in 2004. Now, today would have been, if this coronavirus wasn't going around, today would have been the North London Derby, 2020. We would have been traveling to White Hart Lane, as Stan said earlier. We would have been going to their stadium for the first time. How do you think that game? What would you be looking for from that game, Stan? To see, for me, I would be looking at Arteta versus Mourinho and the tactical battle that would go on there. What would you be looking for?
Me personally, nothing better than playing in their new stadium and just pulling their pants down in front of all their fans, basically giving them a right walloping, in their own stadium. Either that, or one of those games where let them go 2 goals up and let them have their moment, their maybe half an hour moment where they're really euphoric. They're two goals up, but then the match ends 5-2. Something like that, just totally not just watch their spirits literally break in front of you. I've seen that happen at Tottenham games before, where their spirit, you can literally see their fans, their spirit, and it happened at the 4-2. We just broke their spirit that day, man, big time.
And Stephen said a statue for Squillaci. We actually did an Arsenal Worst 11 a few podcasts back. Squillaci, if he didn't make the team, you got a couple of honorable mentions, right, Stan?
Yeah.
Hey, Tony, Arsenal, Tottenham today, what would you have been looking for? We can only imagine how that would have went down. It would have been fireworks.
Just for 3 points is all I'd be caring about.
And seeing Mourinho look pissed off, right? And trying to blame someone else.
Kicking some water bottles around on the sideline.
What would the score have been? I think Stan had said 5-2, right? I'll have a bit of that.
3-1.
3-1, nice. Rohan, what would you have been looking for from that game?
Yeah, so one thing that comes from our 2004 victory to now is how times have changed. Because at that point, and I've said this before, that for me, Tottenham weren't really our rivals in terms of league positions, right? They were our rivals in terms of territory, but in terms of league positions, they weren't there. We would just brush them aside, we just sit them down. And since then to now, that Tottenham have actually become our rival in terms of league position, and this is something. This is a concept that I'll take from Mourinho from his previous club, Manchester United, that he said Tottenham will never be a bigger club than Arsenal, but in terms of the team, they're probably as good as us. At least in the last few years, they've actually finished above us. So that makes the matches more interesting. So which means that there's more at stake for us. So I would love to go there and to actually play positive football. Under Pochettino, they were actually building a good side, and they've gone two steps back, in my opinion, taking Mourinho. And that Mourinho style to actually see it disintegrating. Mourinho style can only exist if you're winning something, but if you actually give them a walloping, they don't have anything to cling on to. And
Yeah.
I would want to see us on the up, which is playing positive football, and Mourinho trying to do his shithousery but not working out against us, and then winning it in the right way. That's what I would like to see.
Yeah, Tottenham, under Mourinho, Tottenham are not really built to come back from if they concede a goal, um, but they are built to hold on to a lead. Aubameyang would have been called the exorcist after ripping the soul out of Spurs teams and fans. And big up the Mobile Gooner who's joined us as well. Um, Carl said, "I'm pleased the Tottenham game is not on today. I never feel confident of winning anymore, and I'm a sore loser." It would be nice to, as Stan said, go there in their new clean stadium that looks a lot like the Emirates. It's just a different color, and beat them.
Thing is, though, it's more difficult to beat Spurs these days because you're not just playing Spurs anymore. You've got to play Spurs and you've got to play VAR as well.
Yeah, good point. We'd all forgotten about VAR.
If there's something that I think should be applicable, and how I would want it to be played, that surely will be from one of my favorite movies. This line that I like, and it's said by Bane, right? And he says, "First, I will break your spirit, then I will break your body, and then you have the permission to die." So that's how I would like to play it. That we play them off the park, we beat them, and then they have the chance to leave the stadium.
I always like the Bond movie where Bond would say, "What do you want me to do now?" And the evil guy would say, "I want you to die, Mr. Bond. I want you to die." And that just reminds me of Mourinho all the time. He's the evil guy in every story, But Tony, if you got a pen and paper, we're going to start a quiz section, and everybody in the comments section, if you have questions, bring them. Well, we're going to get into a quiz. And the quiz, Tony, is who am I? And I'm not going to do a first, second, third. If you get the answer right, you get 10 points. If you don't, you get no points. Right? So there's no rush to have squiggly. If you've seen previous podcasts, there's been squiggly text of people's names. These are Arsenal players, okay? And I will be giving you 10 who am I clues.
Is it past, current, or mixed players?
All in this century.
Oh, great. Okay, the last 100 years. Okay, fair enough.
Last 20 years.
Last 20 years.
Century's 100.
Listen,
Rohan Gundit said, that's now my favorite catchphrase. All right. The quality of referees was shit in the Premier League, and with VAR, they're doing even less. Yeah, I agree with that, Stephen. The quality's going way down. Okay. Ready for number one? There is no who's first, who's second, who's third. There's just right and wrong. You have to write one name down. All right. It's a Stan versus Rohan versus Tony. And people in the comments get going as well. Here's the first clue. People play in the comments as well. I was captain when Arsenal beat Inter Milan 5-1 at the San Siro. Who am I? Yeah, Stan has the answer. There's no first, second, third. It's just correct or incorrect. Everybody in the comments, get involved. Tony, how are you doing? Stan's got the answer. Rohan, you're struggling. You got the answer? All right. Tony? No answer. All right. Stan, what's your answer?
I've put Patrick Vieira.
That is incorrect.
Okay.
Rohan,
Even I had Vieira.
you had Vieira as well?
Uh-huh.
All right. That's good. And Tony, you had nothing. You want to take a guess?
Fabregas.
Nope. The answer was Ray Parlour. He was captain. He was the captain at the San Siro when Arsenal won 5-1. Yeah, it's a little bit. The year was 2003, so we're still in the century. But Ray Parlour had the honor of playing alongside Vieira in that game. Nice try, Carol, Gundid, and Stephen. They all went for Vieira. There's going to be some easier ones in here, so don't get disheartened. I'm expecting everyone to get the second one correct. Here we go. I signed for 35 million in 2016. Who am I? Dan, what have you got?
Granit Xhaka.
No. Tony, what have you got?
Colonel Mustard.
Yes, correct. And Rohan,
Mustafi, yeah.
Mustafi, right. And the Romford Pally, Stephen mentioned earlier with Ray Parlour. Carl got it correct with Mustafi. Xhaka already assembled and got the news. So just a bit of fun here, but we are taking note. All right, Tony, you're in the lead. Rohan's in the lead, 10 points each. Here's third one. I scored my first goal in a 4-2 win versus Tottenham in Emery's first North London derby. Who am I? Rohan. Don't give the answer yet. Rohan and Stan have it. Tony. Are you going to get it, Tony, or not?
Nope.
All right. Rohan.
Scored the goal, opened his t-shirt, did a knee slide. Lucas Torreira.
Torreira and Stan.
Lucas Torreira.
Lucas Torreira. All right. So Rohan's on 20 points. Tony and Stan is on 10. Correct answers for Stephen, London Old School, and Gundam News. And Carol and the assembled All right. Number 4 coming up. And just want to say, Stan, you were at that game, that 4-2 win. You talked about that earlier.
I was, yeah.
Here we go. Number 4. I'm Arsenal's youngest ever goal scorer at 17 years, 114 days. Who am I? There's only right or wrong answers. Dan has the answer. Rohan has the answer. Tony, you got it?
I'm not sure if I got it or not.
All right, Tony, give me your answer.
Wilshire.
Wiltshire, no. Dan?
Jermaine Pennant.
No. Rohan?
I have Fabregas.
You have Fabregas, correct. All right. Rohan's in the lead. Carl is correct. Carl's doing quite well. And Anelka for Stephen. Walcott or Fabregas for the assembled. Give you half point there. The assembled. Theo, no, Mahir. No, not Martinelli. Gone London Old School. Feel free to bring up any anecdotes of players as we go through them. So that's Fabregas. Really great podcast with our blog. Check that out. Okay, number 5. I scored 4 goals for Arsenal 11 years ago. Who am I? And write them down.
Choice of 2, right?
Yeah, exactly, right.
It was 2009. I thought it was. Could it be one or the other?
I can only think of 2.
Okay.
And I don't know what the dates were. So it's just going to be a stab in the dark.
Everyone got the answer.
There's a really obvious one, and then there's an unobvious one.
Correct.
And I'm going to go for the unobvious one.
Tony, what have you got?
R7.
Arshavin is correct. Dan and Rohan.
I didn't have that. I went for Sheila Baptista.
I had Arshavin as well, but that's the other one.
All right, Rohan's on 40 points. Tony's on 20, and Stan is on 10. Stephen got it correct. The Assembled got it correct. London Old School and Carol got it correct. So good stuff in the comments. We got 5 more to go. Close the gap on Rohan if you can. Here's number 6. I joined Arsenal in 2006 and made over 200 appearances. Who am I? Rowan's writing. This is going to be a quick section, so we'll take a few questions for the end of the show from everybody in the comments. So, people in the comments, if you have any questions for the panel, what's going on with Arsenal these days, we'll take a few questions before we get out of here. And thanks for joining us. Thanks for watching today. Rohan, you got the answer? Stan?
No.
Still thinking?
No, I don't know.
Tony? Let's go to you, Tony.
Theo, I think.
Theo?
Yep.
Nope. Rohan?
Even I had Theo actually because he had signed and then he went to the World Cup that year, right? Or was it in 2010 that he went? No, I think it was in 2006. Yeah, I mean that's what I thought. Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, I put this together earlier today, so it could be some crossover here. Stan, you didn't have anything?
No.
Thomas Rosicky. The Assembled got it right.
I'm pretty sure that Theo Walcott has also made more than 200 appearances for Arsenal. He scored 100 goals.
Since everybody didn't get it right, it's it's okay. It's not going to be controversial like
I'm
previous.
sure that Jermaine Pennant was our youngest debuting player, which means he must have scored the goal.
His youngest debut, but not scoring goal, right? Okay, next one. Moving on quickly from controversy. I am a super eagle who scored a hat trick at Stamford Bridge. Who am I? It's a little bit cryptic. Rohan has the answer. Tony, we got to get hopes in on one of these quizzes.
I get hopes in on anything. He's disappeared on us.
And I think Glenn said he was going to join us, but everyone got Tony got the answer. Stan got the
Yeah,
answer.
I think so.
Tony,
I think so.
all right, you start us off, Tony.
Canoe.
Canu, okay, 10 points. Stan,
Ian Wright.
no, and Rohan,
I also had Kanu.
Canu, okay.
But I know why Stan thought, because of the Crystal Palace connection and the
Exactly.
Eagles, right?
He was super eagle, and he has scored a hat trick at Stamford Bridge. So,
All right, I'll give you 10 points. It probably won't make a
I
difference.
had Kanu.
Final place in Stan. Probably won't make a difference. London Old School, Carol, the Assembled, Stephen, and Matt here got it all right. All correct. We've got 3 more to go. My squad number 19 helped to end Arsenal's 9-year trophy drought. Who am I? If we did a section on squad numbers, I think Stan would do quite well. His pen went up right away. Rohan's ready. Tony. Tony, I got to give you big props. You hang in there. You keep fighting.
Even when the host cheats me.
Even when the pressure's on. You got the answer, Tony?
Nope.
Nope. So you remain on 30 points. Rohan,
Santi.
Santi Cazorla, and Stan.
yeah, Santi Cazorla.
Santi Cazorla. Okay. All right. With 2 to go, Rohan's 60, and Tony and Stan are on 30. So you've already won at this point, Rohan.
Because the buzzer wasn't on. It wasn't timed first.
Wasn't
That is
timed,
why.
yeah. All right, let's just play it out. Let's see what happens, like in the Leicester season. Let's see if we can get close to Leicester. I played for La Roja, the Red Ones, and I scored in 2 of our 3 FA Cup trophy wins. Who am I? Stan is good. Stan, you had a dodgy start. You're coming good now. Tony, got the answer?
Actually, I might be wrong.
There's one of those where I'm really confident, but then now you're second guessing yourself. Tony, answer.
Yeah, I got it, I think.
What is it?
Rambo.
Nope. Stan.
So I lost your head first.
Rohan.
This is our favorite left winger of all time, Alexis Sanchez.
Alexis Sanchez. Correct.
Aston Villa and Chelsea.
I'm thinking Stan had the correct answer as well. London Old School, correct. Our favorite left winger who made several honorable mentions, probably To be fair, and we had this. You want to look back at an old podcast?
Yeah, I'll be honest, I didn't know the answer to that one. I just wanted to copy whatever Rohan said.
I trust you guys too much on the honor system. I can see that. But Alexis Sanchez, one of our best players in the last 10 years. Last one. I play for the Elephants and I opened my Arsenal account with a penalty and a win over Aston Villa this season. Who am I? Rohan. We won the game 3-2. Aubameyang scored a great free kick. Who started our comeback that day? And
Chambers did.
that was my bonus question. Chambers equalized, didn't he, for 2-2? He didn't start the comeback. Who scored the first goal?
Okay.
Maybe you're right, Rohan. That was going to be my bonus question for everyone. Who scored the other goal? All good. Tony, got the answer? Tony, come on. Come on, Tony. What do you think, Stan?
This is one of our few wins this season.
Is it the bloke who's only got 1 foot?
You could say a lot of our players have 1 foot. That's not narrowing it down. I have 1 foot. Who am I?
Half the team.
That's not making it any easier.
The right winger.
All right, Stan, what's the answer?
Nicholas Pepe.
Pepe and Rohan. Yep, you had that.
Okay. Aubameyang gave him that penalty to open his account.
Yeah, he did. Yep. So that Rohan, you win again. You're on a winning streak here.
Any controversy on this one? Any controversy on this one?
Yeah, there is one. There is one. You go around the answers and you go, "What's the answer?" And as soon as if the first person says it's the right answer, you go, "That's the correct answer." So now I know what to say when it's my turn. I just go, "Yeah, it's that."
Yeah.
That's why I'm going
That's
on the honor system. I trust all of you too much. Way too
We're going to
much.
have to get buzzers installed.
No, you're gonna have to do that. Yeah.
I see Rohan's paper.
If anyone in the comment section
I reckon Rohan's wife is Googling off camera.
Just sitting back there. Oh man.
I thought you were googling a little bit. Stan.
She wouldn't know what to type. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Ooh.
Any questions for our distinguished panel before we leave, or any more comments about Arsenal you want to talk about, folks, here before we get out of here? Forever hold your peace. So Rohan, you got a little bit like upset about the club and how it's been run earlier in the podcast. You know, it is a bit frustrating, right? To watch other
No, it is, of course.
Other teams doing things the right way, and we don't seem to be.
Yeah, because it's just absolutely unacceptable. See, they say that we are on a Champions League budget, but our wage bill is the 5th highest. You know, it's not the highest or in the top 4. It is the 5th highest. You know, the only team in the top 6 that's below us is Tottenham.
When our supporters go to the stadium and have to pay the highest premium for the tickets as well, which hopes will
exactly for years. For years, they have been paying the highest premium on, ticket prices. Then how can you come out and say that, they just seem to lower our expectations? Earlier, it was that we will, we will be the Bayern Munich of England. And now we've turned out to be like the absolute joke of England, and it's unacceptable the way we are run.
Absolutely, Rowan. Yeah, I think that's good stand there. Holding the button in so Surrey gets you the answer, Stan. Next season, will we win the league at Tottenham, Tony? I really hope so. We could do it with a hat trick of that kind of
At
thing.
this at this stage, it wouldn't matter where we win the league as long as we win the league. Like, but it's such a distant dream right now, and it's all because of how we are run as a club, the mismanagement that's done here. We just think that mediocrity is acceptable, but they don't understand that that will cost the club in the longer run. You don't want to be known as also rans. It's absolutely disgraceful the way we are run.
So take care. Maher's leaving. He's gonna go to work tomorrow. Be careful. Be safe. Maher out there. Yeah, I'm gonna go to Stan next. Do you think Arsenal will progress from here?
I mean, I bloody hope so. And just to what Rohan was saying, I do get a little fed up with, the club says one thing and it does another, and messages that are coming out that conflict with one another. Because just going back to the pay cut, what I don't understand is that the players are being asked to take a pay cut. However, the owner has also said that he's going to be putting in money to make sure that the non-playing staff will still be able to operate and stuff like that. So it just seems at cross purposes. Why do the playing staff need to take a pay cut if the billionaire owner is putting money in? Is it that he's not putting in enough money so that the playing staff have to make up the difference? It's just sound bites, and there's no sort of like detail of what's actually going on. And as I said before, I still don't understand what the pay cuts are for. Is it to prop up the NHS? Is it to pay the non-playing staff? Or is it quite simply a pay cut because the club wants to sort of like trim the fat a little bit? So we get sound bites, but we don't get any clarity. And as I say, if I've missed something, let me know in the chat box. If you know the answers to that question and I missed that memo, let me know. I just kind of feel that they're talking, they're saying all the right, they're telling us everything but showing us nothing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a little bit smoke and mirrorsy, a little bit snake oil salesman.
Yeah, it seems a little bit like they're always reacting to the situation, Tony, and not being proactive enough.
Yeah, it seems like we're always been retroactive. We don't seem to have a solid plan in place for anything.
I'm
also very, very surprised that Mesut Ozil, we've not heard from him or his PR people yet, right? He's usually very quick, in these kind of situations to put any fire.
I understand that he's hired Piers Morgan to be his spokesperson. So we're going to hear. Check out Piers Morgan. You'll get the latest on Mesut Ozil. He'll tell us all about it, But Rohan, in terms of the direction of the club, and we know that Arsene Wenger filled in and plugged a lot of the gaps in the club over the last few years. Are we still kind of just finding our way through things like after the main director of the choir has left?
Yeah, I think that's what's happening. I think if you have a bike, right, and things don't function properly in that bike, the brake's not good or whatever, you will be able to run that bike or ride that bike rather because you are used to it. But if you give me that bike, I'll probably crash, right? That's because I'm not used to a non-functional bike. And this is what Arsenal is. So he was able to get some sort of output from the club, but other people aren't. And in fact, he's left the club, unpopular opinion maybe, but he's left the club in a better position than what Alex Ferguson left Manchester United, because that was an aging squad that was, although it had won the league, but the defenders weren't very good. He signed Van Persie, who was injury prone, and the next season he did actually get injured, and so on and so forth. So, it's a combination of a lot of things, but the fault will always lie with the owner. And it's not just that he's not invested. In the last years, we have invested. We've in just gross investment, we've invested only 26 million less than Liverpool, and that's not net, in which they've had Coutinho resale, etc., etc. So, in terms of spending the money, we've done that, but in terms of recruitment, we've been very poor. And where does the fault for that lie? That also lies with the owner, right? If I
100.
were the owner, I would say that it has to be an output based game. They did one good thing of getting Mislintat, who used his contacts to get us Aubameyang, and then we let him go for whatever reason. It's just run in shambles. There have been so many great players that we've had. Your Ramsey, your Wilshire, etc., whom we could have sold for a higher price, but we've sold them for a grand total of zero. Where are we going to invest the money from?
Not only that, Rohan, but we didn't build around these players and augment the team in a way that we could win titles. We won a few cups here and there. But Stephen says Ozil wanted to know where his money was going because one reason is you can get the payment that's straight to them so they pay the tax, not him. And in the last podcast, we actually did speak favorably about Mesut Ozil, and we sort of delved into what's going on at the club, and a little bit disturbing for me that the club is at odds with Ozil's PR camp. But check it out in the last podcast. Any further thoughts, Stan?
I just wanted to agree with what Rohan just said, because whether you like Arsenal's self-sustaining model or you don't, I've always felt that when it's come to Arsenal having funds to buy players, I've never seen Arsenal, I've never considered that we're a club that has the begging bowl. We've always seemed to have the money. And if you look at the last, I don't know, it almost seems like the last 5 windows, we always seem to be breaking our transfer record. We break our transfer record, and in the next window, we break it again. I mean, look at the money that we spent on Aubameyang and Lacazette. Very, very close together. That's 100 million right there. Mesut Ozil came in at, 42 million. Xhaka came in. That's why I got nobbled on the quiz, because I couldn't remember which one out of Xhaka and Mustafi we paid more for. And I was thinking, surely we paid more, a little bit more for Xhaka. But, I've always felt that the problem is it's not that we haven't had the money. I've always felt that the money's been very poorly spent. I mean, if you look at the money that we've spent, that 70 million, whatever it is, that we've spent on a combine between Mustafi and Xhaka, and you look at when we spent that money and what else was available around that time, it's bloody scandalous when you look at these players now in our squad and you think, wow, we could have maybe made a bid for N'Golo Kante. But this is someone at the club or the Stats DNA software told us that we should be going here. That can't be right.
You're not there, right?
Sorry?
You're not there. Let's get Granit Xhaka and not Kante.
Exactly. I just don't understand how. And then we go out and we get someone like Sven Mislintat, who's proven and shown that he's got a very, very good eye. At finding some of these diamonds that will help us progress and also generate more funds along the way. And we get rid of him, as I said earlier, for, this new system of just going through Ralston-Yehi. I just thought that really, at one point, we looked like we were moving forward with the Sven Mislintat and really sort of, trying to be on the cutting edge of how you get players. And now I honestly feel that we've almost moonwalked 3 steps backwards and regressed in the way that we're doing our recruiting, because I mean, David Luiz, the way that we went about getting him in and the convenience of it all, no, I don't like it being done that way. There should be more thought going into it. And it's funny, when people go, people say, well, do you think you could do much better? Do you know what? When it comes to contracts and that kind of stuff, talking to players and making sure that they don't run down on the free and stuff like that. You know what? I honestly think I could. I think I could probably do a little bit better, because what I have seen from these contracts people and that, it's childish and it's naive.
I mean, rightly or wrongly, we are going to be compared to Liverpool because we have spent a similar amount of money, but not with the same results. And rightly or wrongly, we will be compared to what Liverpool have done in the last 3 or 4 years. I don't know if I'm not a Manchester United supporter. I'm not a Chelsea supporter. I don't know if the same comparison goes on between them and Liverpool. But for us, we spent the same amount of money and we've had not the same results.
But here's the difference, you know, we'll sell players to Liverpool like Oxlade-Chamberlain. We're not going to go to Liverpool and say, right, we want that player from you. Here's the money.
Give
Did
us
you know
Ronaldo.
we'll sell off hard, we won't get anything back.
Give us Gigi Wijnaldum or who's that midfielder, that Fabinho, right? He's pretty good. We'll take him.
Yeah.
Correct.
Tony,
I was thinking I would hire Stan over Dick Law to do our negotiating.
absolutely. Yeah, I'm all for that. Stan, you're hired.
4 years, we've spent 106 million on center backs.
I'm not saying that I would be like this top wheeler dealer, but I would be better than that Dick Law guy. I mean, look at the runaround that we sent him over to Costa Rica to go and sort out the Joel Campbell deal. Joel Campbell just went off somewhere else and just said and went and done something else. And Dick Law was like sitting around in like a hotel waiting for this young kid to grace him with his presence. I mean, what's going on? It's just.
I think what London Old School says, that we talked in the comments here, that David Dean leaving was a very, very bad move. I think he was forced out by the board, right?
He cashed his shares in though, right? He cashed his shares in and left with about 75 million. So I can understand it. I miss him though. I miss him. He seemed to have he seemed to know what he was doing. I mean, if it weren't for him, we wouldn't have had Dennis, right?
Yeah. Or he went and got Ian Wright as well. That was a nice one. He went directly to Ron Rhodes at the time and got Ian Wright. Whoever deals with contracts at Arsenal needs to start putting alerts on their phone so they get a reminder to stop the contract running out. That would be nice. That would be nice. Stephen, you come up with some good ones today. Stay good and thanks for joining us. I think Arteta will turn us into challengers again over the next few years. I actually believe that as well. I think Arteta is the real deal, but he needs backing, and we need to start identifying the right players, right, Tony?
Yep, it needs my money and team to help find the right players.
David Dean was instrumental in getting contracts done. He seemed to know the ins and outs of things as well, Stan and Roland.
I read this article about David Dean and his leaving recently. I read this. Maybe this has been around for a while, but he actually he was also a visionary, right? He had warned the club to say that football is now changing, and now billionaires are in this game, and this self-sustaining model will not work. And apparently, the new owners of the club did not like it, and they basically forced him out the door, or maybe he left, but whatever it was, the end result was that he was with us no more. And that's where it did head. The game moved away from this self-sustaining model that we were looking for, right? It was the wrong time for us, and for a lot of years I think we were cash strapped. We were making these deals for either players who were going to blossom, we hoped, or players who were sort of past their prime. We've got to remember that Santi Cazorla at one point was our record signing at like 16 million. But maybe the game was a little bit different as well, because Manchester United stopped signing at that time was like maybe around 30 million with Van Nistelrooy or someone like that. So the game was there. But then since we've paid off our stadium loan, we have gone out there and we have spent the money, but it just hasn't been good enough. And now every team has the has the scouting, has the coaching, everything everyone has. So, we've got to be proactive. We've got to, think about a model and stick with that model. You know, that's what we are not doing. We seem to be flip-flopping too much.
Yeah.
So we'll round it off there. Thanks everyone for Rohan. Thanks for your comments, Dan. Thanks from Tony. Good stuff. Another good podcast. Another thought-provoking podcast where we sort of delved into a lot of things that are happening at the club. Unfortunately, Aubameyang's contract situation. We're gonna have to wait and see over the next 10 weeks or more, Rohan, what's going to happen.
Rohan will cry.
The players coming back for training. We're not saying the Premier League's coming back. We're just saying that Arsenal are wanting to be the first again. Whether that's a good thing or not, we're not sure. In this PR campaign or whatever is going on at the club, we're just seeing some signs here and there that the club is maybe being run in a hazardous kind of way. You know, time will tell. We have a decent coach. We just have to get a few more decent players, and we have to get the club going in the right way. Right?
Yeah, Steve Denman's hit the nail on the head, because there's two things about David Dein in my eyes. The first one is the revolutionary side. I mean, if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have met. He introduced us to Arsene Wenger. Like you said, Ray, he was the one that went, to Crystal Palace and spoke to Ron Nodes about Ian Wright. Yeah. Then he also brought in David Platt and Dennis Bergkamp, who was instrumental there. But he was also very instrumental in introducing the Arsenal board to Stan Kroenke, because it looked like that Alisher Usmanov was going to make a swoop for the club. And for whatever reason, the board felt that they needed an alternative. And it was David Dein that brought in Kroenke, and he sold his shares to Kroenke, which enabled David Dein to leave with, £75 million richer. So, I mean, I do miss David Dein, but he did make that decision for better or for worse, which is where we find ourselves now.
Yeah. All right, we'll leave it there. We'll be back on Thursday. I want to say thanks for everyone watching. I want to thank Rohan, Tony, and Stan for their time as well. Appreciate it as always. I know Stan likes to get on and talk about Arsenal stuff. I'm sure we all enjoy the time here as well. Right, Stan?
Yeah, I love it. I do enjoy coming on and talking with you guys, especially as, it's not like we can all go down the pub now to watch football and chat. Yeah, so this is a nice way for me anyway to stop listening to all of that, horrific news that's on TV all the time, and just talk about Arsenal with you guys and everyone in the chat box. So again, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no problem. Well, you're kind of regular now, right? So it's all good. Yeah, great to see everybody in the chats. It's nice to see people coming back because in this coronavirus, we need to look out for each other, Rohan. Let's stay safe, everyone, right? Any final messages before we go? I'm terrible at not closing shows quickly enough. I feel like I've got to say more than I should,
If Mahir was here, he'd have gone already. You know what
he's like. You left 20 minutes ago. Gun the news left 20 minutes ago.
Right here. We're wrapping up. Right, bye. Gone.
Yes.
Everybody stay safe. Everybody stay safe. We enjoy interacting with everyone who's on the comments. Of course, it's a great time with you guys as well. And just discussing, and with we sort of try to divide our misery by sharing it. And like to be on here.
And Tony?
Don't ingest bleach or Lysol.
That goes without saying, right? Goes without saying. Everybody be safe out there. Hope everybody enjoyed the show. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments as well. And we will definitely put more stuff out. We will be back on Thursday. Until then, we have to look forward to football. We've missed it. but like we said in the podcast, we have to do it in the right way. Things have to open up slowly, and we can't just do this thing quickly. And it's better to do it safely than to do it quickly and then regret things. Until next time, thanks for joining, thanks for supporting, thanks for watching. Come on, you Gooners, up the Arsenal. We're out of here. Take care, everyone.